Dynamite kicks off with the Jericho Appreciation Society's mandatory meeting. Everybody but Jericho is in ring as Daddy Magic introduces them, the head of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Out comes Chris Jericho. He's in the ring with Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, Cool Hand Luke, Dan G and Sam G, Anna J, and Tay Conti. There's 100 members of the JAS. It's bigger than the NWO at this point. And I like this. They each get a turn telling Jericho why they're going to quit. And I think that there's a nice thing here, giving each person a reason. It sort of shows how much they've done in all of this time. But before we get to the segment here, RL, am I crazy, or why would you put like a in-ring meeting segment to kick off Dynamite? It just seems so non-AEW to me.
Yeah, it's I think one of the things Zoob says sometimes on the show is like they like to have the song to kick off the show, your
Right.
Janes, your Wild Things. And I think they were thinking we'll kick it off with Judas, you know,
This
and
is how we get the Okada penned Judas on the show.
that's right. And I can't imagine who's like, I can't wait to tune into Dynamite and see this JAS mandatory meeting. They're gonna come in hot, you know, but
it's crazy. And I know I'm not everyone, but maybe sometimes I can only tell you my experience. But I do think there are people, certainly on the West Coast, who are experiencing Dynamite like me. They get off work and they have like 5 minutes to grab whatever they can,
yeah,
and hit the couch for Dynamite. It's like, okay, pro wrestling time. And I hit that couch and I'm ready. I'm so easy to please in that moment. You're not going to find me easier to please at any other point in the week. I'm really looking forward to hitting the couch, you know, and pouring myself a sparkling water and watching Dynamite. And this is just like tonally so mismatched with that. Like, it's well performed, but it's sort of a downer of a segment, as everyone is. There's nothing for the crowd to get hype here for besides like good lines in the promo, or if you hate Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Weird choice.
Yeah, and like you said, there was good delivery and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, good for Jake Hager and good for Ty Conti and good for Anna J, but like not good.
Yeah, there's only person I would say here who was like good were the 2.0 guys, Cool Hand Ange and Daddy Magic.
I thought Dan Garcia did okay for himself as well. So
you're right, actually.
But then to end with Sammy, like I get why, like storyline wise, you would go, this guy, like he said, I've been with Jericho from the beginning, first guy that he aligned with in AEW
across 2 different factions.
That's right. And at the same time, it's like, this guy's a dud on the mic, though. That's the problem there, you know, like
they keep giving it to him. I don't know why they keep giving Sammy Guevara like these big speaking parts. Like, I can't think of one he's home run, and he's had so many. But regardless, Jericho kicks off this promo segment saying, "You're not getting the demo god tonight, not getting the Ocho. You're getting a friend." What a nice olive branch here. He goes to continue talking, but Dan G interrupts. He kicks off everything. He says, "Listen, Callis hit me with a bat last week, and you still took advantage of it. I've given up everything for you. I've chose you, but not once have you chosen me. I quit." And I thought that line was good. I always choose you. You never chose me. So you're right in Dan G. So he leaves the ring, and this will be a trend. As next, Hager's got the mic. He leans on the only thing that's been over about him for 14 years, and he reminds people, "I liked that hat." And people, you know, they remember. They know he liked the damn hat. And he says, "But I can't say I like it anymore. We have a lot of options, and I quit." Or everybody knows I have a lot of options, he says. Does everybody know that?
Maybe he meant in terms of hat color. He's trying on a green one, yellow.
You popped Matt with that one, RL. Wow, early in the show, RL thought that. Yeah, you're saying, the green. You get very over maybe with like a nice, maybe a flaming pink hat, sort of Barbie adjacent.
You know, like I'm thinking like there's a segment on next week's Dynamite, like Pretty Woman, where he's trying on all the different hats and he's stepping out of the dressing room, you know?
Richard Gere's there. They're just,
That's right.
This is very nice. Yeah, I'm loving it. This is better booking. Area Thrasher correctly points out that he does have a MMA career in Bellator, where they were having him face, I'm not joking, people who work at meat packing plants on like 4 days notice in fights he would lose it by DQ nut shot 2 in a row. No, I'm not making any of this up. You can go to Wikipedia and look up Jake Hager's MMA record. This is, I forget what the beef packing plants guy's real name was, but I'm telling you the God's honest truth. But I bet they paid him a lot. And Bellator is about to merge with the PFL, so there's going to be some money entering there. So maybe legitimately. Then we move on to the ladies. As Ty says, I have this baby, and 1 year from now, after that, I'm going to come back and win the title, and I'm going to do it without you. And then she storms off. And I thought, it's nice to have a timeline on that. You can't, it's nice that she's not thinking of going and fighting Hikaru Shida while pregnant. Can't recommend that, can you, RL?
No, that'd be a mistake.
Anna then, I thought Anna Jay maybe had the best angle on this whole thing, but probably the worst performance of it, which was to say that everybody's leaving you now, including me. I have a title match tonight, and guess what? I learned to be selfish from you. I'm acting selfishly right now because I watched you do it for so long. If you don't like this, it's only because you taught me how. But oh, that's interesting. Then Cool Hand Ann just fired out of a cannon. And it's sort of echoing what Dan Garcia said earlier, where it's, I've given you everything. I've been the B guy, the fall guy. I've taken so many shots for you. You haven't had an opportunity to have my back. You didn't. And then finally, after he leaves, there's Daddy Magic, Sam G, and Chris Jericho in ring. And this was a mix of the more down-tempo, sullen Daddy Magic that we got last week and the normal, you want to taste guy. But he says, this guy was my childhood hero. My first paycheck, I bought a Chris Jericho t-shirt. When he heard about my story, I had a child that when NXT fired me, you know what he did? He got me a job. He took me under his wing here. I can't forget about any of that. But over time, I've come to realize guys I came up with and liked, like Kevin Steen and Eddie Kingston, these guys hate you. And I can't ignore it anymore. So I'm out of here. Daddy Magic exile. Can you talk about Daddy Magic a little bit here? I thought he really hit some nice emotional notes in however long he had to talk, 20 seconds here.
Yeah, he's the best one at talking, so like it would make sense like last week for him to go last, where they're all saying like, oh, what's wrong with you? And he's like, you got to figure it out,
That was awesome.
Yeah, that ruled. And he did that again this week, but then handed the mic to Sammy Guevara. And it's like, well, wait a minute. He just had the best part.
Sam G here, as you alluded to, performs poorly, but also is the most convoluted thing to get across here. He at the end of it is basically saying, I've been with Chris Jericho since day one. I'm not going to abandon him, except sort of. I'm sort of going to do it. You go do your thing, and then maybe I'll still be here. We'll see, maybe. And then he leaves the ring.
Yeah.
Huh?
They're on a break. They're Ross and Rachel.
Clear as mud, the Sam G. Chris Jericho relationship. But C'est la vie, and this was your opening to Dynamite. I thought, like, the crowd was dead for this. Not because, like, what are they? This is like a heavy moment when they're watching a faction breakup. Like, this is just a bizarre way to kick off the show.
Let me ask you this on that note.
Yeah.
Would you say the Jericho Appreciation Society, writ large, the whole thing, is that over as a faction? Like, do people care about that faction? Or do people care about individuals within the Jericho Appreciation Society?
I think that JAS is done. However, I don't think Chris Jericho is joining the Callis family. I think that it's all breaking up and he's going to go separately and against them. However, I think that those guys will have moments crossing again. Now, you can certainly see Le Sex Gods, if you remember the Jericho Sammy tag team name. I can see that happening down the road. But yes, I think the JAS is done. How about you?
Yeah, no, I had more meant over as in popular with wrestling fans.
Oh, are they over? Not anymore. No.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think they're interested in the individuals, like you say. Yeah. They are interested to see where, I think specifically Dan Garcia and Daddy Magic go from here.
Yeah, I don't break up 2.0. I just love those guys, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Daddy Magic get a bit of run out like in ring. It'd be nice.
Yeah, I'd be here to see it. I've enjoyed what I've seen of him so far in ring, and he has an edge to him right now that I think they can capitalize on. I really think whatever you want to do with him right now, the crowd would receive with maybe even more enthusiasm than Tony Khan might think. I think he's one of these, like, you can smell it with people sometimes. Like, he's more over than you might appear right now, or at least the bottle is shaken. Give him something that's going to twist off the cap. He really feels in that zone for me right now. Qui-Gon Jinn and Ju saying, for consideration, more Magic meat. Of course, the team of Butcher and Daddy Magic. I feel like that's always going to be a little lighthearted in nature. I'd like those guys anytime there's like a battle royale to sort of stare at each other and do a double team, but I don't really need like a tag run out of them.
Yeah, although if it's getting the Butcher away from Kip Sabian, maybe I could listen to something
Please,
about
God.
that.
Yeah, but Butcher deserves better. So in that way, I can agree with everybody. C755 saying they keep talking about Chris Jericho versus Ospreay in London, and man, I don't know. Okay, here's my sell on that. Here's why I like that match more than everybody else. Because it reminds me of the match that got me on a plane to Japan for the first time to go see Wrestle Kingdom 12, Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Here's how. People forget how ice cold Chris Jericho was going to Japan to face Kenny Omega, who was sort of perceived as the best wrestler in the world at the time, hot off of the first Okada match. He had come off of this great feud with Kevin Owens, the Festival of Friendship, all those high parts. But then the match stunk. People were like, oh, he just does not have it in ring anymore. He's completely fallen off. But then he goes over and like has one of these best wrestler in the world is committed to having like their Chris Jericho match on a big stage to his first 5-star match. I think this mirrors it in so many ways. I think Ospreay is going to be dead set on having a match with Chris Jericho that is as good as Kenny Omega's to further their rivalry. And I really just think that Ospreay's on a level right now that sometimes people don't maybe recognize because they have lots of reasons to dislike him, be it for his in-ring past, which I think he is really different from in a way that people haven't really maybe recognized. I think lots of people have, but some people haven't. And then for personal reasons, but I don't think people realize like Ospreay is probably the best wrestler in New Japan right now in ring, which is, pretty impressive.
Totally. Yeah, no, what was it last year? He had like 4 5-star matches in 2 weeks or something like that. And, the Meltzer thing or like how wrestlers like tailored their move sets to be 5-star matches, all that kind of stuff. But the fact is, like, you watch this guy have. When's the last time you saw Will Ospreay have like a bad match with anybody who, like, I'm sure like he's had a couple of stinkers of Bad Luck Fale or whatever, like guys who absolutely are awful.
G1 nights off. Here's Tamatonga, like these sort of things across the years. But no, he was the guy who, frankly, awoke people to Hangman Adam Page in ring and Lance Archer in ring. Like that's Will Ospreay matches in G1. So I really think there's room for optimism. And Jericho looks younger up again to me. He somehow has abs and his face looks younger. So yeah, I have optimism for it. Plus, Ospreay in UK against Callis family, Jericho's against them. I just think there's a lot of meat on that bone. I really do. I understand the lack of enthusiasm around it, but I don't share it. We then go backstage where Jericho is with Renee. She's looking for answers about what he's going to do. He goes to speak, and then Callis walks in. He apologizes for whatever he's done that's held to the JAS's or led to the JAS's breakup. I like that Callis is authentic in this moment. He's not like, oh, these guys, how about it? He's like, hey, look, I know this means a lot to you. I'm sorry if I had anything to do with this. He's still not a good guy, but it's a nice moment to treat seriously. Jericho tells Callis and Renee he has made a decision and he will announce it on the show next week. What do you think he's doing, RL?
I think he's going to be like, I got to go back to my roots and get serious up again. I don't want to be doing all the, singing Judas and all this. And I just need to focus on being Chris Jericho again or whatever. Like, I don't want to join the Callis family. And that leads to, like you said, he resurrected his career with Kenny Omega. Now there's a new Kenny Omega, if you want to put it that way. And so it's just like a really easy 1-for-1 kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. But that will lead us into our first of 3 Keep It or Kick It's of the evening. Of course, Keep It or Kick It is a segment where I pull a prop from my wrestling brain. I say to you, RL, and the Brady X in the chat. And you and them must go over to the emotes bar and select either the Keep Emote, which means you like the prompt, you love the prompt, you want some more of the prompt, or the Kick Emote, which means you hate it, you despise it, and you never want to see it again. RL, are you ready for the first of 3 Keep It or Kick It's?
I am.
Keep it or kick it. This statement, a non-Chris Jericho member of the JAS will join the Callis family.
Keep it or kick it. 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 Keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it, keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it, keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it, keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it. Keep it or kick 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 it. Keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it, keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it, keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it, keep it, kick it, keep it, kick it, keep it.
Don't you love hearing that song live and in the headphones, RL,
Oh,
as
yeah.
you're about to do it? It gets the energy up, doesn't it?
It does. It's a little different from hero mode, you know?
Which we do always appreciate. Those who
That's
watch
right.
Wrestling Brain on their televisions are the bravest of all. Willing for all, laid back for all to see. Yeah, I watch grown men in their 30s on Twitch talk about
That's
pro
right.
wrestling.
And I'm 40, so think about that.
No one braver. Do you have chat open somewhere, RL? Do you want to read through the answers?
I don't have chat open. I can do it in 2
No
seconds.
need.
All
I was
right.
just going to give you the chance to get in here, but I'm more than happy to. I love speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Sludge Williams kicks us off with a kick. Gandalf Lundgren with a kick. Dennis Dirty Work with a keep. G. Ritchie with a kick. Irish Mac 21 with a keep. Niblets 05 with a keep. V said Qui-Gon Jinn and Juice Pacefall. Area Thrasher and Ryan PM with kicks. Trilly McGinnis gets us back on the keep train. Torque Penderloin with a kick. C-Sup 55 with a kick. Seems like 75-25 kick.
Yeah.
Where would you come down on this one, RL? Is a member not named Chris Jericho of the Jericho Appreciation Society going to wind up in the Callis family?
I think no. And if it happens, the only person it can be is Dan Garcia, right? Like,
Yeah.
serious him up again. You know, him and Takeshita, those guys could be menaces in a tag division. You know, I think there's a lot there. I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I think very well said. If I'm playing the numbers, it feels like Dan Garcia or how they view Sam G could end up in there. But Sammy as a Will Ospreay understudy just seems like not good to me. So I'll kick
No.
as well.
Yeah.